Hi everyone. While working on my last couple videos, I realized it would be helpful to cover the fundamentals of detailing. Things like terraforming, key walls, snapping, filters, surfaces, decals, and a few essential mods. So I'm excited to kick off a new basic series with this video. Along with some amazing builds, I see a lot of questions on Reddit about detailing. The in-game tooltips don't always make things very clear. So we're going to start this series with a primer on terrain tools. And one last thing to note, a few people asked if I'm AI. I promise I'm not. No AI would choose to look like this on purpose. With that out of the way, let's get started. First, open up the landscaping menu and select terrain tools. You'll see 4 core tools: level terrain, shift terrain, soften terrain, and slope terrain. If you're using the extra landscaping tools mod, you'll see 4 resource tools. We'll cover those in a later video. Before we start using them, let's take a look at the tools they all share. On the left is the control panel. Every terrain tool uses some combination of target height, brush size, and brush strength. Target height is the number you're matching. You can type it in or right-click any terrain to sample its height instantly. I almost always use right-click with the level and slope tools. Brush size controls how large your edits are. Brush strength controls how fast the terrain moves. The default 50% is extremely strong and usually too fast for detailing. You'll get used to turning this down to around 10 to 20%. Above 30% is usually too aggressive unless you're covering a large area. Now, let's look at the level terrain tool. This is the tool I use more than anything else. And once you get comfortable with it, everything else gets easier. It's my go-to for flattening areas, prepping slopes for buildings, nudging contour lines, matching road or retaining wall height, and starting a build area. Here's how it works. Right-click on a terrain height you want to match. You'll see the number under your cursor update to that height. You'll notice I'm using 50% strength here. For big, simple changes, that's totally fine. It's faster and still predictable. Let's extend the terrain again from a spot that starts at around 538 meters. I right-click to sample the height. Then click and drag into the 534 meter area. Now, let's turn brush strength down to 20% and do the same thing. You'll notice the terrain moves slower, which gives you more precision and usually a more natural result. This brings us to the shift terrain tool. This one's powerful, but it's also the easiest to lose control of if your strength is too high. At 50% strength, this tool raises or lowers terrain almost instantly. Left click raises terrain, right click lowers it. At high strength, you'll accidentally create towers and pits very easily. I'll use the flatten terrain tool to raise the terrain of the pit back to where it was. Now, let's try again at 20% strength and create something that could be a pond. With the strength turned down, the tool becomes much easier to control. You might notice I swirl the cursor around as I work. That helps prevent sinkholes and creates a more worn, natural shape. Now, let's make a hill. I don't want a perfect cone, just something rough and eroded. I left-click and drag the mouse. The longer you hold in one spot, the higher the terrain rises. You'll see a rocky, uneven hill form with a ridge along one side. Next up is the Soften Terrain tool. This is the cleanup tool. It fixes all the chaos we just created. If used correctly, it smooths out the imperfections we just created. It turns the hill into a gentle bump and the pond into a smooth crater. Left click and right click do basically the same thing here. I almost never right click with this tool. At 50% strength, it works fast. If you hold it too long, it will raise low areas and lower high areas until everything flattens out. At 100% strength, the effect is even more dramatic. The hill and pond disappear almost completely. That covers the Soften tool. Now let's look at the Slope Terrain tool. This one's a little different. It works like the Level Terrain tool, but with a twist. First, I'll raise the terrain with the Level tool and set the target height to 20 meters above the ground level. Now I'll switch to the Slope tool. This tool works similarly to the Level tool, but with one key difference. You right-click to set both the height and the position of your start or end point. The tool then creates a slope between those 2 points. I right-click, imagine a straight line between the start and end, and draw a long, gentle slope. I right-click again, choose a different start point, and draw a steeper slope. I right-click once more and draw a very steep slope. When you go beyond the start or end points, the tool behaves like the Level tool. If you stop holding your left mouse button, the tool resets. You can start a new slope that uses the position you already set by holding and dragging the left mouse button from any point. Keep in mind that this reset means a new slope will be calculated depending on where you click and where the endpoint is. I'll use the Soften Terrain tool to smooth the edges, rounding the corners. And that's the basics of the terrain tools. In the next video, we'll cover snapping and filters, two things that make detailing way easier once you understand them. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.